Welcome to the WSL Post Show here at the Corona Open Jbay. What a day to kick things off. One of the best opening days of competition that we've had here at Jefferies. Some mind-blowing performances and a couple of upset results. Ronnie Blakey joined by my commentary sparring partner, Peter Mell. Good to see you, Pete. And of course, 77 World Champ and local legend Shaun Tomson. Great to have you on the show, Shaun.
Good to be here too.
Mate, what did you make of the day? Because as I mentioned, it was a pretty special one when you think back on the history of this event.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, to see the best surfers in the world attack the best right-hand point break in the world, for me, as an outsider now, as a fan, was just so heartwarming and so inspirational to see John Florence and to see the guys just taking surfing to the next level. I mean, John Florence's performance in his heat, that's some of the best surfing I've ever seen, and that's just the first heat.
Yeah, there's a lot of highlight performances, and we're going to look at Jeremy Flores and his effort in this contest, Pete, because Jeremy hasn't had a lot of great results here, but with the surfing he's doing at the moment, the form he's carrying, maybe 2017 is going to bring him something different.
I would hope so, because again, we had talked about it during his heat. His high heat total has been good throughout the entire season. I mean, he's been up there in the top 15 of the highest heats. So you would say that his performance has been there. It just really hasn't had the heat wins. Good to see him get through round one here. Again, putting a good heat total together. So Jeremy's on the right track. I think if he can just keep remembering the fact that he's putting in big numbers, that the results will start to come.
Definitely, and we're all fixated on Matt Wilkinson for obvious reasons. The G ratings leader coming into this event, and Wilco, he had some moments, but Jeremy really stole the show, surfing the wave from start to finish. Great variety and some great tube riding.
Yeah, the tube riding was just sublime. I mean, look at that, just that high-line drive. You can see him there, yeah. That nice mid-face hack. So sometimes Jeremy's surfing has a tendency to look a little bit hurried. It's like, you know, he's in a hurry to get things done, a lot of rail changes, but he looked so good out there today.
I think today you could take, feels like to me there was those couple of standout heats which we're going to watch, but I mean overall the performances by pretty much all of the top 34 were solid. There wasn't really anybody there going, wow, I don't know what they were thinking, why they're even here. But the reality of it was everyone had their highlight moments. I feel like even Ethan Ewing, who put together a pretty bit average heat, there was moments there you're like, oh my goodness, you know, if he could just put a wave together, he could be putting those bigger numbers up again.
Definitely, yeah, no, it was a fantastic day, and all over that first round there was magic performances. Let's have a look at Connor Coffin. I think he served up maybe the upset of the first round. You come into the first round here at Jefferies Bay, there's pumping waves, Geordie Smith's going to be in the water. More often than not, you're going to back him to get the job done, but it didn't happen for him today, Shaun. Connor was ultra aggressive.
Yeah, you know, Connor, out of all the heats I've ever seen Connor surf, this is one of the best I've ever seen him surf. He surfed right up to what he's capable of. Generally, I've found that, you know, he's only been on tour. This is his second year on tour. He doesn't manage to put it together, so he surfs up to his potential. But certainly today, those mid-face calves, those kind of, you know, dropping those backhands in the water like that, it was just so powerful and intense.
One of the things that I really liked about Connor surfing today was his finish of his maneuvers. I mean, he looked so stylish when he really laid over. He actually had that accentuation, and a lot of times when you do that, you lose speed, you lose kind of the pace of the wave. He was able to finish it and looked so cool when he was doing it with his arm placement and then still come out with speed.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of drive out of his board. He was the only guy today that was riding a squash. Everyone else was on round tails. So you could see he was actually getting a little bit more drive out of his turn than most of the guys.
Geordie Smith still put up an excellent score, so some positive signs for him. But this is the wave that sealed it. And I think that's what these contenders or wannabe contenders have to do against the favourites in this contest, is surf to their full potential to have any chance. The final turn on this wave might have been the turn of the day.
And that's what I was saying about watch what he does at the finish of the thing. He lays it over, but then that little tweak at the end, but comes out with flair. At that point, it's kind of like, you know what? That's the accentuation, that's that punctuation you like to see.
Well, the most consistent surfer in this event didn't disappoint today. Mick Fanning looks so sharp. One of your favourites in the first round, Shaun.
Yeah, I thought Mick took his surfing to another level. He was riding a different sort of equipment. It looked really short, but it looked like his board was actually bending and then reflexing off that turn. I've never seen Mick get that speed burst off the turns that he was getting at.
Well, I mean, he's the one who's going to apply pressure to a surfboard because he does carry a ton of speed. But you're right. I mean, the flex pattern of a board is really going to be
watch this.
accentuated here at Jbay because you're carrying so much speed. Your board does load up, your fins load up, and if anybody can find it and accelerate with that kind of surfing, that's this guy here.
One thing that we notice about Mick Shaun, is the fact that he always surfs with a lot of speed, so that gives him a huge advantage here at Jeffries because he's got a little bit more time. He can get out in front of these waves, can bank on that bottom turn, but also can execute his maneuvers going as fast as he possibly can. And not everyone on tour has that.
I think the faster you go, the slower reality becomes. So it seems to me that he's always got so much time. He's never hurried. He's always relaxed. He's always in the right place on that wave. And it's like he's processing reality at a different speed.
Well, again, harnessing that speed and executing the maneuvers at that highest speed, that's where it's easy to go and get loose, where you're just flying down the line, all of a sudden you're like, and you skitter out, whereas Mick is always at that high pace and that high consistency and speed that he's comfortable doing those maneuvers at that high speed.
Even though he surfs so well, I feel Mick, like Joel Parkinson maybe, has a lot more to give, just based on what or who challenged them, the challenge that was presented by the rival competitors. There just wasn't that same push from the competitors to take those guys into that next realm of performance. So we could see them step it up as they move through the heats.
Think about the 8.5 at the very beginning of the heat. I mean, that really kind of sets it and can relax you a bit. When you put an excellent score out right out of the hooter, you can kind of start to be a little bit more paced.
Who else performed well today? Let's keep mowing through the names. Gabriel Medina, I thought he was a standout. Definitely the pressure's on Medina. Hasn't had the start that we expect from him, but we have seen in the past he's used this event as a major turning point for a world title run going into the back half of the season.
I actually thought Gabriel, one of his high-scoring waves, I think he got an 8.9 for it on those free-fall floaters. I thought his timing was kind of off, and I thought it was a very, very generous score from the judges. I didn't think he was like right on the money. Stu Kennedy here is also a wonderful young surfer. I mean, young, he's 28 years old, but the way he talks around and gets a drive out of his boards, he just chose the wrong waves, the smaller waves.
Well, Stu Kennedy was one of those guys too. Much like we were talking about the challenge being brought from the underdog, I think Stu brought that challenge to Medina. He took off on medium-sized waves. He was probably surfing better than Gabriel, but there is credit in getting on those sets. You know, it allows you to do bigger turns, and Medina found those waves.
Well, I mean, and the judges have been pretty clear. You got to be on those best waves of the heat in order to get the biggest scores of the heat. And it just happened. But this barrel here, I mean, this is really what won it for Gabriel. That was an amazing barrel, especially on your backhand. To be able to make those long, deep barrels out here is so tough on your backhand. You can't make those quick adjustments to get through those barrels. You have to just be this little tight compact ball to get through it and hope for the best.
Well, Shaun, you know, on your forehand, this tube is challenging. What makes it so difficult for the competitors?
Well, to make this tube, because it's not a deep round barrel, you've got to actually take that high line. That last tube that Gabriel had, I mean, he was down at the bottom of the wave because it was on the inside, so it was a lot more round. But generally, it's that kind of oval barrel right at the top, so you have to drive very high, which is very difficult on your backhand. It's probably the most challenging fast barrel on the tour. It's not the barrel where you drop into and you drag your backside and you just slow down and you kind of control it off your backside. This wave, you've got to fly down the line. So not only do you have to go really, really fast, but you have to stay high, which is very difficult on your heels.
Definitely, and even punching through that curtain on your toes can be quite hard at times. You get a little bit more to bank off when you've got that speed on your forehand. You can really get on the heels and dig that rail into the water. Let's talk about the performance of the day, the highest scoring heat, dropping a 9.2. John Florence finaled here last year. He looked incredible in the first round. Amazing stuff.
I mean, this was the best John we've seen since his Margaret River performances. I mean, you know, conditions I think will be helpful, but I think again where he's able to get into that equipment that he's so comfortable with at high speeds. This board here looks efficient. It looks like he can do no wrong.
So it reminded me of his Margaret River performance. I asked his coach, Ross Williams, ex-tour surfer, ex-commentator, I said, you know, what board was he riding out there? So he's riding a 6.0 Ghost model by Parzel. And what they've done is they've flattened out the forward rocker, brought the wide point a little bit up, so you can see he can get those, well, that's young South African Dale Staples. Dale also put in a tremendous performance. He would have won most heats today.
Well, he's going to have Jordy Smith in round 2, so this is going to be a big matchup.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But have a look at the surfer from Dale. He's going to pose a good threat, a great challenge for Jordy. But John Florence, let's get back on his surfing, because you know, that was a special performance. You know, I think he also alleviated any pressure, competition pressure, by establishing such a great lead, and was able to really just compete comfortably. So
what I love about his surfing here is that not just the pure carving and the incredible tube rides, but he adds an extra dimension to the carve. It's almost like he carves and then he recarves again halfway through the wave. We'll see it a little bit later, but he's just got that kind of creativity and imagination and innovation, and you know, you just never know what's coming next, and that's what the judges like, that surprise factor.
I think you've brought up a great point in the past. I've read interviews with you, Shaun, talking about surfers who just fit with this wave, and I've heard you say that sometimes you see a competitor almost analysing what's happening down the line, and then there's a couple of surfers at Jeffreys Bay, and names you've mentioned, the Jordy Smith and John Florence, that are very reactive, and they just seem to be surfing on instinct, and every time they come out of a turn, it's like they know exactly when to break, and the barrel's just missing the top of their head, but they're just fitting in perfect. They're at one with the wave, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch.
I tell you what, they are processing information faster than normal human beings. And the wave, as we see the wave breaking at a particular speed, they see it breaking slower. They're not hurried, these guys. You can see some surfers out there, they see that long wall, and whoa, 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 change a rail, change a rail. They got it down. It's like, whoa. They're like in a Zen moment.
Well, it's like the best of the best, right? I mean, if Federer is an example of somebody who actually watches the ball as a tennis player, sees it better than anyone else. John kind of has that gift.
He sure does, yeah. Amazing stuff. He's through to the third round, but with a couple of little shifty performances from the likes of Jordy Smith, we've got amazing round 2 heats established, and it's a huge opportunity for Dale Staples. Surely he would have taken on Jordy as an amateur coming through the ranks, and now he gets his opportunity on the ultimate stage, and possibly some all-time Jeffreys conditions. The first heat of round 2 is going to be a big one.
Yeah, he won the trials in incredible tubes. I don't know if you saw the trials, the Jbay trials. I mean, he was getting these incredible long tube rides, so certainly it's going to be a hell of a heat between Jordy and Dale.
It was like a blustery kind of offshore day,
like
too,
what's
right?
predicted tomorrow.
Predicted for tomorrow. We're going to have some very strong winds tomorrow, which is offshore, which is fine. But again, Dale Staples, I think it's going to be a nice even playing field for these two surfers. You know, Jordy's going to be just as comfortable.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I think if you ask Dale Staples who he wants to win the world title, he's going to throw Jordy Smith's name at you every time. But Michael February, he's got a big matchup as well, up against Matt Wilkinson. Michael's surfing, since last time we saw him in this contest, has gone to a completely new level.
Absolutely.
He looked great today.
Totally agree with you. It's happened here on the QS. I think the confidence from Bolito is one that he's carrying over here. He's had an opportunity before at Jbay, but this is a whole different February. I think it's going to be a great heat.
The thing that's working in Michael's favour is he finished most of his rides off in his heat. Matt Wilkinson didn't get to the end of too many of his rides, so Matt Wilkinson's got a bit to clean up before this next battle.
Yeah, I think Matt is definitely, you know, he's got to think, and he's got to be a bit introspective about what he's going to do tomorrow and try to build up that confidence base. Because certainly he didn't have that rhythm and flow that he normally has backside. I mean, he has that off the bottom, off the top, off the bottom, off the top. He wasn't like in rhythm with the wave. He seemed to be kind of disjointed. He wasn't flowing with it. So he's got to get over that tomorrow. And then Michael February, they call him Freestyle February, you know, because the way he surfs, it's just like freestyle. He's a great young guy. I met him the other night for the first time. What a wonderful young man he is. And I'm going to be watching that heat with a lot of intent.
A great ambassador for surfing in South Africa, very involved with Waves for Change. But Pete, let's talk about this Surfline forecast, looking very promising for the next couple of days.
Yeah, there's been a lot of thumbs up in regards to what we've been able to do and accomplish here. Waiting I think is a big part of it, because we've had 3-4 days of pretty good surf, almost better than what we had last season. Again, due to this forecast, that's why we've been able to wait it off. Today's conditions, optimum for a 3-man first round. I think that the performances were there, and you see that's that big purple blob which we have forecast for the next couple days. I mean, tomorrow, a bit of an increase, and then even Monday afternoon, and Tuesday, more swell. Again, there's today's, you know, tomorrow going in through tomorrow. I mean, that's bigger. We've got more surf on tap, and then again through the week. We've got a little bit of an up and down, but overall, it's going to be competitive as far as the way it's going to be overhead and even into double overhead. And look at Tuesday, 12 feet. I mean, that's double overhead, Jbay. And it's going to be winds. Look at, you've got 2 knots coming from the west. That's like pristine conditions.
Bring it on, Pete. A pleasure as always to call heats with you, my friend.
And Shaun, thanks for being on board, man. You've always great insight.
Absolutely, Shaun.
Stoked to be here.
Great to have the 77 world champ with us on the show. Make sure you tune in bright and early here at the Corona Open Jbay. We'll be looking to get competition underway bright and early. See you then.
This is the Corona Open Jbay, stop number 6 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Joel Parkinson packs a wide open pit, draws off the bottom, and now he's going to arc it. Wiggly pulling into the pit, still has some room to get the exit. Dantes comes free.
That wave wasn't finished yet, Wiggly. You can't be claiming halfway through it.
At least a point and a half. You just have to do 2 walks. Yeah, probably.
Now Kersey's in the barrel. Layback arc off the top. Looking to pack the inside section again. Kersey going for the double barrel and gets it. Now beat Durbridge. Big front side down carve, and now he's got some room off the lip. Durbridge is heating up.
Jeremy Flores now grabbing the wall. He's still finding that cover. And he is buzzing.
Cheers, man.
Connor sets up the barrel. An absolute Jeffrey's Bay special. Slams it shut with a huge layback carve.
1 around 1 heat. Smash the real one.
So another big heat coming up next, folks.
John Florence flying out of the barrel to start. Big wrap right off the lip line, and he'll slam on the brakes again, and 2 arms stalling. Reaches up, layback hack.
Oh, look at this wave. Off the bottom again and jams it, showing some variety, showing some power. Are you kidding me? He is going to be one hard surfer to beat.
Slater read it, and look at this. Finds the barrel, and he is so deep. There's no way. Is he going to make it? Yes, he does. Slater, the showman, once again.
Now Medina flying down the line into the pit. This one's running through impossibles. Can he pull off a miracle and make the exit?
Get Mick Fanning with a couple of big turns to kick this right off. Big start for Michelle and a big old hack there.